It's always good to be on your radio. Good evening and welcome to the program Issues of Today right here on Voice of Liberia. Voice of Liberia 104.1 coming to you from Capital Bypass in Monrovia. What's a great way to say good evening and welcome to the program. Good evening, folks. And it's good to be here this evening on the program Issues of Today right here on Voice of Liberia. And as a matter of fact, this is what we've got to do for our country, Liberia. No matter the difficulties, I always said to you, you need to keep focused, keep pushing, and keep doing what is right for your life. We play, people, and so too many things happening in Liberia, too many things happening around the world. It was a great way to be back here after the holiday in the country.
Chance ku shari play. Open you je pa complete. From 6 to 9. I take from Monday to Friday. Just cause in our issue. The issue of our nation. Telling our people. When you keep on out there, you and wait, you and I'm like royal, you what the lab brother play, you know that, oh man on that, I want 0.1, you can't say you, one can't say you, I say push every bring it. Bring it. Okay, you keep on bring it. You're home for all that, bro. What it did, yeah. Issue today. Where your issue, my issue.
Welcome to the program Issues of Today. I want to sincerely apologize because it's not an easy thing, but today's edition of the program promises to be great, fascinating, and you don't want to miss today's edition of the program, by the way. So you want to invite some other people to join us as well on the program as we set the basic and setting the issues, following all of the issues in the country and bring it into your doorstep so you can be informed. But let's go to our international correspondents. We return, then we tell you what are the issues we're going to be doing today on the program. We're going to go to our international correspondents now on the show. The very first place we're going to make a stop is going to be Naomi Kumbenda. We're going to join Naomi Kumbenda from Nigeria as we get in this report from Nigeria that lecturers under the guidance of the Academic Staff Union of Universities in Nigeria have received full salaries for the month of November 2022. Are there been issues with salaries payment in the country? Naomi joins us now both on the television and on the radio from Nigeria show as she reports to tell us more about this development coming in from Nigeria. Let's join Naomi on the program this evening. Naomi, thank you for joining us on the program tonight. Good evening, and thank you for joining us from Nigeria.
Back to the station. They're waiting for me. Yeah.
Naomi, good evening.
My mic is muted.
Or
Good evening, Seku. Thank you for having me.
and it's good to have you from
Good
Nigeria
evening.
on the. It's good to have you from Nigeria on the program this evening. Lecturers under the guidance of the academic staff union of universities in Nigeria have received full salaries for the month of November this year. Is there any possibility that the lecturers 8 months withheld salaries will be paid by the federal government of Nigeria?
So, Seku, the federal government explained why it failed to pay full salaries to lecturers under the aegis of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. In a statement by the Federal Minister of Labor and Employment, he said the government noted that the ASU were not working, and so they have to pay them less salaries, and it has implemented the no work, no pay policy so that the lecturers will not get any salaries if they do not work. So, it is very glaring that the presidency and also the federal government has vehemently refused to pay the salaries of the lecturers during the period they were on strike for the 8 months.
What is the academic staff union of universities doing to see that the government pay its lecturers their 8 months withheld salaries in the country?
So, Seku, so many lecturers in some universities are already protesting as we speak. Some of them started yesterday, some are going on today, and some universities have also decided that they will withhold the results of the students. They will not attend to any ASU meetings, Senate meetings that will warrant the agreement or approval of student universities, student results until the government does the needful.
Now, is the academic staff union of universities in the country considering other strike to drive its point home in terms of what's going on?
Oh, well, I don't think a strike again will be an option because I mean going on a strike for 8 months without salaries, and then I think what they're planning to do now is just to see that students are the ones who suffer because they had an actual meeting today and they decided that all universities will not release the results of students, and they will also cancel some semesters. That means the parents will have to pay for semesters they have already paid for during the strike. So they will cancel the semesters and also they will refuse to release the results, and that will push the government to react. But strike, of course, Seku, I think is no longer an option.
Thank you very much, Naomi Kombinda from Nigeria on the program. We're going to go to Lesotho to talk to our Lesotho correspondent on the program now. I want to say thank you to Naomi as she has been able to explain to us about what's happening concerning the lecturers within Nigeria. We'll go to Lesotho's, where Lesotho's free primary education policy come under the spotlight aimed mounting evidence that many underprivileged learners are forced to drop out of school, complaining or not completing a grade 7 within Lesotho. We're going to join our Lesotho correspondent to tell us more about this on the program from Lesotho. Yes, this evening on the program. He joins us. Go ahead. Good evening and thank you for joining us, Poloko.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening.
Okay, give us a brief history about the state of Lesotho's free primary education.
Okay, Lesotho's free primary education was first introduced in the year 2000 by the then government. After it was realized that there are some students cannot afford fees, it was made to assist them in terms of free education at primary level. However, when they go to secondary, their parents or their guardians have to fork out fees for them.
What are
So it
some
has
of
been
the
facing.
what are some of the
It
challenges
has,
children are faced with in Lesotho?
some of the challenges is that the schools, the free primary education schools are too far. They are also can be accessed when it is cold or when they are rivers or when there is a lot of rain because their schools are not accessible in a lot of districts. So some students you find that they have to stay at home and look after their cattle so because of lack of adequate resources.
Now, what could be the best way forward regarding thus far what's happening concerning the education, particularly about children?
Okay. What we can see is that the free primary education is already facing a lot of challenge. Although some people are calling for the secondary education to also be free, but what the government at this moment needs to do is to invest a lot of money into the Ministry of Education and Training, because the Ministry of Education and Training is one of the least ministries that get a little or no budget a little budget in after the budget speech. So we need a lot of investment in our education system and also to update the policy or to renew it.
Okay, thank you very much. From Poloko, from Lesotho, he's voice of Liberia, Lesotho correspondent. We'll go to Sierra Leone now to talk to the man, John Whitfield, to tell us more about this issue that has to do with a 6-man delegation from the office of the Ombudsman in the Republic of the Gambia are in Sierra Leone on a study tour and to share experience on the work of the ACC, especially with asset declaration within the country. Uh, um, John John Whitfield joins us now, both on the television and the radio. John, good evening, and thank you for joining us from Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Thanks for having me in the show, and I hope you get me loud and clear.
You are much better and sounding clear in Liberia and the rest of the world. What is so unique about the Anti-Corruption Commission in Sierra Leone that it is attracting other nations to learn from?
Well, we haven't been doing well when it comes to corruption in the past, and we've had several issues, not just with ordinary members, but also members from the public, especially government officials who are public officers. But when this current dispensation took over, they had certain initiatives that they introduced, and one has to do with the asset declaration, and also the other has to do with out of court settlement. And let's not forget that the asset declaration is one of the recommendations given by the Sierra Leone Truth and Reconciliation Commission, because they found out that one of the things that caused the 11-year rebel war was greed, and endemic greed that plotted and plotted us to go into war. So these are some of the unique things that they have seen and other countries have been borrowing from.
What is the focus area of the visiting team in Sierra Leone?
So this is not the first time the team has come to Sierra Leone from the Gambia. And just like Sierra Leone, the Gambia also is battling with the issue of corruption. And the Office of the Ombudsman made it clear that even though they are looking at cases within the realms of government and public officials, they also have a mandate to do what they call the asset declaration. They have been struggling with public officials declaring their assets before coming into office and also when they have left office. So there are certain unexplained wealth that some of the officials in Gambia have. But coming to learn from Sierra Leone some of the methodologies that they have been using to go back and apply it in their own democratic dispensation.
How has this area helped, fight corruption in your country? Like you said, there has been this issue about corruption in Sierra Leone, and no government has been able to really eradicate corruption within the country. How has this area helped, the fight against corruption in Sierra Leone?
Well, I think it has helped immensely because the asset declaration focuses more on public officials, and these are public officials that are within certain grades. When they have amended 2019 Anti-Corruption Commission Act, um, not all individuals, but now what they said is that even if you are below grade 7, as long as you find yourself in an office where you deal with government money, you have to declare your assets. So what this has helped us to do is we know what public officials bring in when they assume office, and when they would have left offices as well, we know what they are living with. So many a times you have officials who become rich overnight, going plunging the country's resource. We don't know where they get the money from. And sometimes they are unexplained wealth, and they give explanations that do not justify, and they go scot-free. But now the asset declaration form, there is no way they can lie, and better follow-ups are being done as well.
Do you think this will work in the Gambia as well?
The interesting thing is that we have replica cases within the African sub-region.
Mm-hmm.
We know that.
Okay, so for those of you just joining us, you're listening to the program Issues of Today right here on Voice of Liberia. And you're listening to our correspondents. Okay, you listen to our correspondents there reporting from across the world on issues taking place in the various countries on the program Issues of Today, right here on Voice of Liberia. We want to say thank you. We will do this or so that you can also, watch the correspondence when they report live on the television and on the radio. Before we can move ahead, the Congress of Democratic Change recently had a press conference, and it was something very interesting, though. I went there. We went to listen to the press conference, and the press conference was intended to announce those elected officials of the just ended convention of the Congress of Democratic Change. And you have new folks now heading the Congress of Democratic Change. But I think one of the persons that still remain in his position is the chairman of the Congress of Democratic Change. He remains the chairman, and so there were other names today that were announced, but we talked about this issue, concerning the convention, and the folks were finally, one could say, announced. So they officially take their various positions, and I will be joined shortly by my colleagues. But let me just give you the lineup of what we're going to be doing here today. Let me give you a lineup of what we're going to be doing on the program today, so you can be abreast, and you will know exactly what we're going to do. There's a big thing we're going to talk about. There's a big allegation has been made by the Secretary General of the Congress of Democratic Change, and the city mayor of the city of Monrovia, Mayor Jefferson Tamakoji. He made a very big allegation, which we're going to take some time to look at it and provide our analysis about it. But some of the things we're going to be talking about today has to do with, this reconciliation in politics. Reconciliation in politics, and from a backdrop that of recent, the finance minister of the Republic of Liberia was involved in a road accident on his way from Lofa County to Monrovia when he attended a program in Lofa County. On his way, he was involved in a very tragic accident. We want to say thank God that he survived, along with his wife and other entourage. But he was taken from the same to Phoebe Hospital from the start. From Phoebe Hospital, he was taken to what's the place name? He was taken to JFK. From JFK, we learned that he was flown out of the country, he and his wife, to Turkey. They were released out. But we're going to provide some analysis here, and it is very important, and I don't know why should Liberians, celebrate the accident involving the minister, though. We're going to provide our thoughts on that. And some issue again we're going to talk about is about the justice for all appointed government officials, including security sector, because this drugs thing is getting very serious. Now, no one to trust. In fact, some of the same people, yes, my guy has joined me. Some of the same people, security people, oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's join our guys. Okay. Yeah, okay. So Fendela will join us. Let's join Fendela. Let's join Fendela. Patrick. Okay. Fendela, good evening, my brother. How you doing?
Yes, good evening, Seku, and to those in Radio Land and your great guys in studio. It's a pleasant good evening. And it's good to be on your platform again, as usual. And yes, we're doing good. Things are okay. And
Fenella, Mama, let me hold you there. You in one of the advanced areas in the world. Why we can't be seeing your face? You let your too much. They may advocate the issue. They may.
No, I think they. Let me just do the.
Yeah, my man. Why you be behaving that? You on the television?
Sorry. I think it's okay now. It's okay. We don't have from people. We are social progressives, so we want to interact with a wide range of people to make sure that they know us and we know them. So we're not hiding. Don't put me on the spot, bro. Don't put me on the spot.
You know, I say I will catch my man today.
Yeah, we can't have we around, we moving and we are kicking.
Okay, Fendela, how is it with you on from your end? Yesterday was a holiday in Liberia, though. We played a repeat of the show, and I received lots of calls. People were calling, and I said, "Wow."
Oh yes, I think the celebration yesterday was amazing. I saw pictorial evidence, especially from those social progressives. Guys were dancing in the clubs. You know, it reminds me of my days of, you know, dancing at Zonto. You know, those kind of music and shaking my toes. But it's good to see people happy. Amusement is a form of mental healing. You know, and it's not that people go and they dance, they are happy, but it helps to heal at times. And I think Tottenham birthday is the most celebrated birthday in our country. And I think a lot of people, I saw people on the beaches. And but I think we have become more responsible. This time I have now heard about accidents. In the past, it used to happen on holidays, people driving recklessly, causing accidents, you know, but I have not heard anything, you know, of an accident since, you know, yesterday. And I think it's good to the drivers, you know, the police, whoever that was responsible for controlling the traffic, lives. I just want to say, you know, I thank you for protecting lives. I think the celebration, it went well, you know, for those who had.
So certainly, it was a great, you know, celebration yesterday for those of the people that went out. But I spent the entire time at my house. Take that thing from there. Take it from there totally. I spent the entire time at my house, and then I just, you know, when we had a conversation after the process, and I was just home, you know, just sitting home. You know, sometimes we don't have time to rest. When you have, you know, a holiday, it's always good to have a good rest so that you can get prepared for the next day. But a lot of things happening in Liberia, Fendela. Recently, the Congress of Democratic Change just had a press conference, and that press conference was intended to, you know, announce the new code of officers that were elected recently from the just ended convention. And during the press conference, something big came up. A very big allegation was being made by the currently elected Secretary General in person of Mayor Jefferson Koji against the person of Louis Brown from the Alternative National Congress. You know, so and then the finance minister had a you know had an accident over the weekend when he went to attend a program in Lofa County on his way back to Monrovia. He was involved in an accident along with his wife, security, driver, some other folks. We have the release. We'll also talk about it. Something that is very important, Fendela, which we will also talk about is, you know, this issue about drugs is very important because no one to trust in Liberia nowadays. Anyone could be a drugs dealer. Anyone, even those of the people in government, out of those of the people out of government, you know. And the other issue where you noticed most of the officials of government, people in the public sector, we go to work late. You know, like our series we've been running, you know, looking at that. And lastly, maybe we'll share our thoughts on people using fake credentials to get to positions in the government. But let's weigh in on this issue about reconciliation in politics. what do you make of it, first of all, when you saw on the social media and we had a press release around about the accident involving the finance minister, and you notice that some people on social media, you know, being very negative of what happened to the finance minister, his wife, and other folks?
Well, as a student of public policy, a Christian, and human rights, I am always on the side of humanity. And let me restate that the accident is regrettable, and we wish the Minister of Finance speedy recovery. We wish his wife's speedy recovery. We also wish the driver and the security who were on duty speedy recovery. I'm not a giver of life, and I've always said this consistently, in line with my family values and, of course, my professional ethics, that in the conduct of my activity as a leader, I don't pray for someone to undergo pain, especially when the situation is unforeseen. An accident, anyone can make accident, and we understand the circumstances. So for me, I did a post, and it generated like 300 comments, and some were for and some were against. Majority were against, while I call on Liberians to exhibit humanity, and we should pray for the speedy recovery of the Minister of Finance and those individuals who were involved in the accident. Well, they have their own justifications. Technically, if you look at some of the points they raised, well, it's justifiable because government is responsible to build the roads, but going beyond to celebrate, you know, the death, the wish that someone would have died, this is where I disagree. I know many of our family members have died as a result of bad road conditions. Some have died. I mean, it's also regrettable that they lost their lives because the roads were bad, but we cannot pay evil for evil. It's not paying eye for an eye. I don't subscribe to that as an individual. Like I said before, from the beginning of this show, I take full responsibility for what I say here. In the future, if we say something that is unpleasant to the public or security apparatus, let me restate again that don't go after Sekou Sharif, come after Fandela Patrice. I'm already in Liberia. So, like I said, I think our country is slipping back to the dark days. If we're talking about political transformation, we must step aside from things that separated us from the past to building a new, sustained, democratic institution that is inclusive and unifying. What I have seen is we have a toxic political environment, and we need to detoxify that political environment as we go towards 2023. I don't consider politics as an act of war. I see politics like soccer. I criticize people. Many of those I rebuke, I criticize. They know that I'm speaking the truth. Sometimes I make mistakes and they call me to order and I apologize. We move on. There's a difference between criticism and hatred. Hatred and criticism, they are not the same. We come on this platform to speak to grave issues. But again, let me just say, the political system, and I think they should claim the attention of our people. Because other people wrote that when a member of the opposition died through car accident, certain people from other political parties, they celebrated. So, and this accident too, it shows that it's time for them to also celebrate. I mean, when the wife of Kanga died in a car accident, there was conflicting accounts on social media. Some people celebrated that he was planning to destabilize the government. It did not go down well with some people. And when this accident took place too, involving the Minister of Finance, other people celebrated. But for me, I represent a new breed of generational leaders. It is contingent on my part as a nation builder to call on opposition and the government to detoxify our politics, build a new, sustained, and unifying democratic, institution that values the idea that shows empathy, no matter what happened. And I was saying this to people. If the crime of corruption is death, then of course you will have reason to celebrate. Let's assume that this minister is convicted of corruption. The punishment would not be death. So when he has an accident, let's pray. Even in the police, somebody go and kill. The police will arrest that individual, they keep him or her in protected custody, so that it can be.
Fendela, let me.
For me, it did not go down well with me. We need to reconcile this country.
We will go into the release from the Ministry of Finance, but let me just remain on. Let me just bring in our Ghanaian correspondent, which we have spoken to him, but he came in late. So let me just bring him in to talk to him concerning this information coming from Ghana is very important. Let's join the man Jonas Biarubi so that he can fill us in with this information. Jonas, good evening and thank you for joining us from Ghana. Jonas, you need to unmute your mic. Good evening.
Seku, good evening. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, Jonas, the government and Central Bank of Ghana are close to, sealing a 25 million deal to finance small-scale mining operations in the country. Give us an update on this development from Ghana.
Well, thank you so much, Seku, for the opportunity. But this particular deal that is between the government of Ghana and the bank is aimed at fighting illegal mining. Mostly in Ghana here, when people go into small-scale mining, most of them go there without licenses, and it's a major canker in the country here. So there have been several attempts to get them stop activities because the effects that the activities are causing the country and the citizens as well. So this deal that the government going into with the banks for the bank to give them some funds so that they can churn out some new measures to be able to fight illegal mining in the country. And this coming as a loan to the government. It's not going to be free. The government is taking it from the bank and is expected to pay back with some interest, of course, because as it stands now, the economy is almost rounded to a halt because there's nothing in the country that we can rely on. So, but it's a very important thing that they need to fight, because I tell you, illegal mining is actually causing a lot of havoc in the country, and it's very necessary, despite we have nothing in the country to rely on because of a crisis economy is going through. So the bank is funding them. Government through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, who are in charge of issues like this, is going to take this amount of money, and they are going to look at new alternatives that are going to take to make sure that they are able to clamp down on who are into illegal mining. And it will also is something they are also going to look at by restoring the vegetation that have been destroyed and the water bodies that have also been destroyed. Because if you come to the country right now, all the major water bodies that you can think of growing up, water bodies that we had the name, the rivers, the big rivers, are all polluted right now, that we cannot rely on as it is. The Ghana Water Company that is in charge of supplying us tap water, struggling to treat water because the water, all the major waters have been polluted as a result of illegal mining. So this deal that the government is going into with the bank is expected to fight all this and restore the vegetation, also to ensure that we get water bodies back to the
Thank you very much, Jonas Biarubi. He's our Ghanaian correspondent there from Ghana on the program. Let me say thank you, Jonas. And that's all the time we've got for our international correspondents. He just came in, so we just needed to squeeze Jonas in. We did all the other correspondents. But Fendela, sorry, we just needed to get him because he had a very good information. We passed the correspondent issue. But like you were saying, let me just read you the release that came up. I think the following day when the incident happened, and I want to say this as well to add my voice to the many voices like yours to condemn those of the people in a constant habit, to wish for bad for other people. No matter our differences in political issues, that should not take us to a point where we will pray for evil against another person. And I always said this, and I continue to say this. What you can do will define your value. If you know that you have the best political party or the best political idea, it is incumbent upon you to convince the Liberian people when you should have been given the opportunity. You want to bring who to be your finance minister or whosoever, it is upon you. But I don't think to pray for people death, and it should be something where we will be celebrating or things that we need to do. We need to condemn it, and we don't need to do it. But here is something that I think I need to say. I'm gonna read the release, Fendela. This release was done on the 29th. That means on the holiday, which was on yesterday. It says, in the wake of the tragic accident involving Finance Minister Samuel D. Tue Jr., his wife, Madam Delicia Tue, the driver and security officer, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning is pleased to inform the general public that Minister Tue and everyone involved in the accident are stable and responding to treatment. The accident occurred on Sunday, November 27, 2022, while en route from Lofa after attending the graduation ceremony of the Lofa County Community College, where he served as commencement speaker. The emergency rescue team immediately rushed them all to the Phoebe Hospital in Bond County, where emergency treatment were applied on them before transporting them to the John F. Kennedy Medical Center for additional medical assessment and treatment. Based on the medical report of doctors at John F. Kennedy Medical Center, Minister Tue and his wife were advised to travel out of Liberia for further medical treatment. He and his wife traveled as passengers on Monday, November 28, via Aska Airline to Ghana before boarding another commercial flight to Turkey. Doctors at JFK also assessed the medical conditions and injuries of the driver and security official and found them to be more stable in comparison to the minister and his wife. The medical team provided medication to driver and the security officer and asked them to return on Wednesday, November 30th, 2022 for additional checkup to make a decision on advanced medical checkup and treatment outside of Liberia. Pending the final decision of the medical treatment at JFK for the driver and security officer, the Ministry of Finance will underwrite the full travel. What am I trying to say here, Fendela? If you listen to the release, at times people will do things. It might not be done in the bar. The intent of what you do might not be bad, but the way in which you do them becomes a problem. You getting me right?
I'm getting you. I'm listening to you.
So my own take here is, in as much all the folks were involved in the accident, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a medical person, but the release from the Ministry of Finance is not as clear to a point concerning the drivers. This is what could come to the mind of political pundits, because the driver or the security, they are just maybe Civil 7. That's the reason why they've not flown out of the country. They all were in the vehicle when the incident took place. In my mind, to have avoided the thing where people would think, say, even it could be Ghana, let the people go for advanced treatment. Now, you say you check the people, you did not see anything as to determine the gravity of what has happened to them. But you've asked them to come back on the 30th, which is today, right? And if another test is being done, we either determine, you've already determined that that thing is not major as what they've said to you. So the only thing to have been done is either they continue medication. Because when something happened, it is because of the gravity of what they suspected the very first day. When the minister arrived at JFK, that's the reason why they thought to take the minister and his wife out of the country. So how can you did a test, you did not see any major thing on this man, but you still saying that if another test is being done and something can, then they will send the people out of the country. I'm just saying this, if even the guys, the driver or the security could not be taken out of the country, I mean, to Turkey as per the seriousness of it. But I think, to be honest, they themselves who needed, because they were in the vehicle, and I'm told this vehicle someone started. I'm not praying. I'm not happy about it. I continue to wish, pray for the minister and his wife, and I pray that things will be better. But the way the Ministry of Finance has been able to do this, people could look at it different way, in a ways that, but why didn't the driver and the other people too were given the opportunity to go for advanced treatment? Mind you, they are human too as well. They themselves might be going through some things. But you say you did a test and everything, you did not see anything. But if anything happens, and maybe from the other test you will do again. But how many tests did you run on the minister and his wife? You know, sometimes the way we do things, that's how people can see it and make these things are a problem. In as much, Fendela and I, we've condemned those of the people, praying for the bad thing or saying all kinds of things about, the minister and his wife. We will not allow or encourage people to say that, or to encourage them to come and say, oh, they were praying for the minister's death or whatsoever. But I think fair treatment too. And you were interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Sekou, when you were reading the press statement, I had a time to jot down a few points. And they said the minister is stable, but they are being, at the condition, they did not describe the severity. But they say based on medical report, he's asked to leave the country. That's very good. And I was also taken aback. What happens to the security man? Look at the vehicle alone tells you that it is impossible to believe that people survive. Mind you, the JFK is faced with a lot of challenges in terms of sophisticated medical equipment to diagnose and treat people, to stabilize their conditions. Of course, the little resources they have been doing a very great job for certain conditions when it comes to providing medical care for those who are transported to that medical institution. But it is important to emphasize that these people, given the challenges JFK has faced, for them to be given the same treatment, to travel abroad, have proper, diagnosis. If to say they were not in the car, there will be a problem. Then we'll say, okay, there's now a problem. But if the minister is flown out of the country, which is immoral and sensitive, you have to save his life. Those that were also in the car, these are the representatives of millions of Liberians who cannot afford to seek medical attention abroad. What happened after 1 month? And the sickness, resurface, or maybe the conditions, because sometimes when you have an accident, it takes time for people to respond. Everybody have a different immune system. Some people, they will respond to treatment right away. Some people, it will take some time. So the same question that people were raising, those questions people were raising, that the ordinary people survive at the mercy of God, because when they get sick, they are now flown abroad. They are taken to JFK, and some of them are made to remain here and die. So, in the midst of these allegations, an accident involving a top official of government, including the very civil servants that these people have talked about, that when they get sick, they don't have insurance, they are made to live in Liberia to take treatment, and in most instances, they don't survive, they were left behind. For me, I want to begin this advocacy. The Ministry of Finance Development Planning must provide the same logistical support, medical support to airlift the security guard and the driver to any part of the world for advanced medical treatment. We all agree from that press release that the JFK is incapable of handling the situation with respect to what happened to the Minister of Finance. The JFK is on record for complaining they don't have sophisticated equipment. So to treat people with dignity, and given this controversy that has surrounded the political, the body politics of our country, that there is a discrimination when it comes to treatment of public officials, appointed ones and elected ones, against ordinary Liberians. There is a need for us to now begin the advocacy, because for me, I was one of those that said Liberians should pray for the recovery of the Minister of Finance. I was taking tax. And their arguments were clear, that there has always been this conspiracy theory against the poor people. It is about time that the Minister of Finance not just look at the medical report, even if they say stabilized, it is the advanced treatment too. To say, I don't feel comfortable. And Sekou, I want you to meet the driver and the security officer and ask as to whether they are certified with what JFK says. If I went to hospital, the doctor tells me I am okay, I'm the only person to tell you whether I am okay or not. Once I tell you I'm not feeling well, it is my right to seek further medical checkup. We want to ensure that this man, these two individuals that were left back, let them be given an opportunity to be flown out for advanced medical treatment. We are not trying to say this competition, but it has to do with life. No life is smaller than another person. We are all equal, especially in a situation, that nasty accident. Nobody will tell you that people who were involved in such an accident, you will take one person, you carry them to one hospital, and you take the other one, you carry them to another hospital. Both of them must be given the same treatment abroad, and when they recover, they can return to the country. I think that press statement, it needs to be revised. And Sekou, and these are things that we say, yeah, you're right. We don't, I personally don't agree. People bewitching, not only the Minister of Finance, even President Salif. You saw the former Minister of Education. You know, he wrote on Facebook that Liberia is becoming a different country. While people are celebrating the death of the former president, you know, it's not just that We
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
live
Me,
in a
me
society that is toxic.
yesterday, a lot of persons called, made a call to me, and they were asking as to whether it's true that the former president, uh, you know, and I was like, I'm just hearing this. Why would we be, the similar thing, Fendela? Let me tell you something. I'm a living victim of this issue. When I got sick, by the time I was a staunch supporter of the government. And this is why sometimes people don't like to say of themselves. Life is about truth telling, even the job we do, right? At times when you do something, it's good to be honest and say it. And when I felt sick, Fendela, you won't believe it. I used to be sitting home, seeing people discussing me on social media, tapping RIP on my picture.
Oh,
And I'm telling you, there were times during the evening hours, some friends, other people, and they will call and ask, Seku, I will just call to know if it is true. We just heard that you pass off. I'm telling you. And honestly, these things play on you. You know what I mean? You live in someone saying that and in that kind of a mood you find yourself, it is
and
very, very, it is
and
very.
sometimes I don't pray evil. My late grandfather used to say, he says it's never too old to get crippled. He said, be careful what you say.
Mm,
Yes, he used to warn me a whole lot. He said, be careful of your words. When you speak words, they are like when you throw out water, when you have water in the bucket and you waste it on the ground, you can't get it back again. He said, words are powerful. You can put the words out, but you can't take them back.
mm,
When you send them out, they don't come back again. And he also said, people say, oh yeah, I forgive, but those memories live with them forever. So sometimes, yes, tomorrow you might be a public official. This guilt by association, I don't subscribe to that. If someone is from a political institution and that individual does something that is wrong, we will deal with that individual and leave the political institution out. If I am dealing with a public official, I deal with the public official based on certain standards. Maybe he did not subscribe to certain moral principles or constitutional requirement or professional ethics. It is our responsibility to call them to power. To order. But I think it is growing up. Mind you, we were divided in this country based on ethnicity. We kill each other here in this country, and some of us today are victims. Many people listening to the show, this is how it started. Hatred, politics against. Look, let's put aside our political feelings. And the government has a responsibility to unite the people. So the responsibility rests directly on the shoulders of the government. The government must prove that they are willing and ready to reconcile the people. The people are angry. And the comments I saw that could technically tell you how disappointed people are in the government. Some of them is based on personal feelings, and I don't subscribe to that. But no matter who we are, where we find ourselves in political institutions, I will never ever celebrate the demise of any political leader or someone in political party. I will question you, I will criticize you, but now when something happened to you, I think politics in Liberia should be seen like a soccer match. Let's observe the fair play. So assuming, I read some comments, I couldn't believe, and there are people you call your friends, they won't comment, but when somebody writes something different and like in agreement with that individual, they don't know that some of these things. These things they are not going to help us to move anywhere. Imagine if the new government, like CDC a few years ago, they were criticizing people. They criticize people systemically. They deal with people. They do some things. Now they are in power. Should they go also after other people and start going, after them and say, oh, when we were in opposition, this is what you did to us, so we'll pay them. So, okay, after elections, assuming opposition come to power. So should this current leadership that will be in opposition, should they lose election? Should they continue to behave like that? How do we build a society? We cannot continue to move like that. And I'm happy that some of the opposition leaders, they issue statements, wishing the Minister of Finance or speedy recovery. I think
that was very good.
I think that is unique. It tells us how to behave. But again, we carry different scars on our skin. Some of us are hurt by certain individuals and institutions, But for me, I'm not saying here that we disagree with what you said, but for the sake of humanity, it is important to recognize that you are not a giver of life. You cannot be
certainly you're not a giver of life. So even though we all, like we said, we condemn them, but one of our major, topics here today is this issue, and we want to take our time and listen well to the allegation. What's happening? The allegation that was made by Mayor Jefferson Tamakoji, and Fedela, we're interested to know. Since then, we've been making all efforts to get Mr. Louis Brown. We've called, we've messaged, but all of what we've done proved futile up to present, and we will still make efforts to see if we can have him. But we'll also make efforts to see as whether we want to get some, some clarity on some of these things. But let's play you this thing, and so you can listen and listen well. Listen to what the newly elected and inducted Secretary General of the Coalition for Democratic Change. When I was attending the program and I listened to the guys, they were on their battle cry, and some of the things they said, the current Secretary General is the firing tab and everything. So when he started to make these kinds of allegations, and I said to myself, are they truth? What is the possibility of having what he's alleging of being truth? But then we want to look at it from the 2 points. We're going to provide analysis from the truth point and the untruth point. Looking at it, if, for example, it is truth, looking at the character, is it true that Louis Brown has had such a character in the past? Or is it that it's just a regular political, statements where you want to do something to scare people, like what we were saying, Fedela, you want to scare someone of something else? But let me play you what he said, a very long speech, not long to the extent, but listen, and so we can provide our analysis. And this is the voice, for those of you listening to the radio, of the newly elected and inducted Secretary General of CDC, Mayor Jefferson Tamakoji. This is the allegation he made today, few minutes ago, almost an hour, against the former Information Minister of Liberia, Louis Brown, that was ambassador. This is the allegation, and Louis Brown is in the camp of Alexander Cummings. Listen, folks, and listen well. And those of you watching, you need to watch this clear.
Now, Louis Brown needs to be. Louis Brown needs to be aware that those tactics that throw the country back to war, those tactics will never be repeated here. It's not possible. The last 2 hours ago, he presided over a meeting. He presided over people, he called them partisans. They're not partisans. Those are informers of the People's Party. In that meeting, I'm telling you, Prosper, he knows, you'll be surprised. The meeting just ended, and he declared the 17th of December to cause chaos in this country. And he was making similarity with the April 14 arrest riot. He needs to wake up from his slumber. The party is around to remind men with mutilated history. People like the likes of Mr. Brown must be asking for forgiveness, must be asking for repentance, not to be fermenting. And I want to say to our friends who are members of the arrangement called the ANC, we want to say to you, to not allow a man who just at night as a serious citizen of the ANC, a stranger has taken over the land of the people. He want to use the 17 as a way to prove to Alexander Cummings that he has the way waited to make him president. Let him stop. There are certain things we permitted that were before. It was not close to elections. But this party will work to help this country to keep the peace of this country. The party will do that. For 12 years, we kept the peace in this country. 17, and said the core of the 17 in that meeting. He said the core of the 17 Liberian tired suffering. Are you the mocker of the Liberian people? When people tired suffering, they don't utter A. They act A. Stop engaging into excitement. And we want to say to you, the people of this country, nobody in this country, never again that this country will retrogress into backwardness and into chaos and carnage. Now I understand why Alexander Cummings is delving into activities that have the similarity of taking this country to war.
Well, Vanilla, I saw at the end of the day you made your eyes as if to say,
well, Seku, permit me to do some critical analysis.
Sure.
Like I said before, I am a total transformed person. And I have no regret with my activities in the past. I didn't kill anybody. And I spoke truth to power, and I was penalized for that. I'm forgiving those individuals. In fact, they are my friends. They were doing their job, but they did not do a good job. That's all. But should I hate them? No. But this allegation, it has to be justifiable. It has to be looked into. Because I'm looking at the intentionality of the speaker. He spoke with conviction that the meeting was held 2 hours ago. He presided over the meeting.
And he was specific.
You know, these lines. I think you were talking about like emails. I don't know. And that he was presiding over the People's Party, meaning ANC has been infiltrated. Is to have a classified information. To have a classified information in your bedroom regarding a plan that you are about to execute has surfaced. There must be a need for reassessment. If political institutions do not reassess their strategies, you will be sleeping and someone will go and collect your information. Assuming without admitting that this information is true, is credible, I want to question the CDC. The CDC must move with caution. Protest under our law is guaranteed. And I want to emphasize on this. But a protest that would degenerate into chaos be quickly aborted. Negotiation is the best alternative option. We cannot allow our country to degenerate into war, yes. But when people are angry, you don't control their human emotions. And when human emotions are displayed in different forms and manner, it becomes chaotic. Now that you have gotten this sensitive information, Mr. Secretary General, I want you to proceed with caution. Don't use the route that the legs of Louis Brown under the UP-led government did a few years ago. I will talk about that. This government is under constitutional mandate to sit with people who disagree with you. It is about time the government takes appropriate steps, engage the ANC in a more civil manner. Mr. Standard Bearer, we have this evidence that Mr. Louis Brown, who is a stalwart of your political institution, is planning this in December. The government respects his right, but we believe there must be a different trend to vent your anger. Engage these people. Negotiation does not mean as a government you are weak. It only shows how responsible and determined you are to engage your opponents in the midst of competing disagreements. Any leader that refuses to sit with their opponent to discuss on the table of brotherhood and find a common ground, you are weak. The CDC should not tread the path of regimes of yesterday. Taylor refused to sit with his opponent, and when the mass got serious, they united, the flushing out. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, in the midst of everything, we saw President Weah in this country campaigning for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, asking people to stop the protest. When we were leading the protest against President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President Weah came on many occasions, including the party stalwarts, asking Hikochi to disembark because President Sirleaf extended a hand of national reconciliation and effective negotiation skill to ask the standard bearer of the CDC.
No, I'm carefully listening. Go ahead.
Ask the standard bearer of the CDC not to allow his partisans to get on the street. That was leadership. I want the CDC to exercise leadership. Any counter protest will undermine the territorial integrity of our country. It will ruin the reputation of the CDC, especially as we are going to elections. Let me come to Louis Brown and the ANC. I think, for me, Louis Brown is very good in terms of his tactics. He knows the political terrain, and this is an undisputed fact. He knows how to make trouble. He knows how to solve problems. He knows how to create problems. He's creative and innovative. He's one of the brightest minds Liberia can boast of. However, I also want to caution him, being a former diplomat, I think reducing this into a protest, especially at the time where Liberians are happy. You know, sometimes you have to be very strategic. When people plan to have a celebration on Christmas, you know, Christmas celebration in Liberia is almost the fever from the 17th all the way to the 25th. Please, we are just asking you to to look at some strategies. You know, what better ways can be done? Protest is guaranteed. Make no mistake. You can't tell people how to protest. And any protest that is announced, people don't normally announce protests. They go and organize and get on the street. So the fact that you organize a protest and you are making publicity and announcing and people got the information, for me, I don't subscribe to those kind of things because it makes other people to have a different interpretation. But where we are now, I'm also questioning the ANC because when it goes fine, ANC takes the glory. Alexander Cummings will take the glory. When things scatter, especially a star of your political party, then you are into problem. You don't want to risk your political life in a protest. Protest has two forms. When it goes well, you take the glory. You can use that as a political function, political tool. Fight, because we are already going to election 2023. But when it turns the other way around, they will hold you accountable, political or collective guilt. The people will say, oh, that Kumisen and Louis Brown, he the one funded it. He did everything. And now you see the people cheering, so and so thing happen. So for me, when people are leading protests, the star of your political institution should not be the forefronter. They should not be at the forefront. They should not be the front runners to organize and agitate, leading a protest. You have people, you can use them if you want to. But Louis Brown also, I think if this information is true, he does not have the moral ground to talk anything about protest because he was against protest before. This man used his platform as Minister of Information to allow the Les of Chris Massacre, the former police director and the former Minister of Defense, to threaten civil liberty in our country, to say they will use lethal and non-lethal force. That was an attack on freedom of speech. To use this to exercise a similar right, I think it is important as a former diplomat to leave the scene. The message is good, but the messenger is a wrong person because he does not subscribe to the tenets of democratic values and principles. He had the time as a Minister of Information avail his platform for people to threaten civil liberty. He does not have the moral ground to call for protests in this country because he undermined protests before, he threatened civil liberty before, and this is why I have always said, these old folks need to give a new breed of generational leaders a chance to champion their own causes. This is a new era. You can use different groups of people to advance political agenda. And this is where I find many young people who are staying in political institutions and they are being used as stooges. You win chair, they other chair when they're supposed to be competing for national leadership in political institutions. I want to beg the ANC. Politics, especially as we go to the election, he has been identified as someone that is an associate member and very strategic within the ANC. If this information is true and the protest is held, I hope the Liberian government will protect the protesters and give them their right to exercise their political franchise. However, when it is led by people like Louis Brown, it will undermine national security. It will defeat the purpose for which that political institution stands, because these were people who presided over the Ministry of Information, and they availed their platform for people to threaten civil liberty, to say they will use lethal and non-lethal force. And this is where I have a disagreement. And the CDC should not use that same method to say to use lethal or non-lethal force. Don't go that way. The best option is negotiation. If you think that this will be a severe issue on the economy of the country or will jeopardize the peace we now enjoy, the CDC needs to leave from being a partisan-based political institution to a serious-minded government to negotiate, engage, and discuss the way forward. But it's not to
Fendela, let me come in. You know, and I sat and listened to you, and I want us to play this again. For those of the people that didn't listen well, so they can listen. As I come in with some strong, like you said, analysis. You know, there are a few things I'm trying to point out here. Looking at the person in which that is saying what he said, that's number one. He's fully aware of the consequence of his statement towards another person. If only if it has no truth, he's not above the law. You understand me, right?
Listening to you.
And is it proving that Louis Brown has had a record? Either his close association in the past dark days of our country, or he fully participated. We need to look at that as well. We need to get it clear. And like you said, is Louis Brown the person that Liberians should listen to when they talk about, you know, people are living in abject poverty, the government has not done well? Is he that type of person? Does he have that face to make these kinds of statements against this government or governments to come? Is the ANC noted for supporting protests? You know, there are a few things we need to understand here. But I want this thing to be played again. And when you listen to the allegation of, I want to let go the mayor position for now. I want to deal with the position in which he spoke and make this or made the allegation, which is the Secretary General of the Congress of Democratic Change. The Secretary General of the Congress for Democratic Change in person of Jefferson Koji was keen on some allegations, tribal allegations, using traps. It is something we need to look at. But from the bottom line, what we need to understand here is, what's the true nature of this allegation? How true it is? How did he get to know about a meeting that just took place? And he said, hour ago, he got the information that they had a meeting. And some of the things that he said, he was being, you know, specific about some of the issues, like the date, the month, the hour of the meeting, and how they want people to come up in certain form. That speaks to a point that it is difficult to come up and say these things when you've not been informed from within. Like you said, someone could be in the ANC, you know, that could be feeling some of the informations, which the ANC, no, we're not going to sit there and say they need to be careful, because we don't play to that body politics. Before you say you want to be journalist, you know you need to learn what journalists should do, Fendela. If you don't learn, you know, one of the requirements of a good journalist is you need to know how to articulate. You need to be a very good speaker. So when you're not coming to be journalist, then somebody tell you, say, my man, you need to learn how to speak. So if ANC doesn't know that, they need to put their houses in order as to, keeping information to themselves. We're not going to sit there and tell them, or we ain't going to sit there and say, oh, your house is leaking. If they think it is up to them. But I want us to play this thing, and before I can come in with the few points I raised, I want us to play this statement again. We need.
Before you come in, I'm sure people are listening. Protest. We're not saying it's not right to protest. Let's get that very clear.
Sure.
It is your right to protest. Because I'm a protest specialist. We protest all that. And yeah, there were consequences, but we knew what we were into. But when protest goes wrong, then, especially in a political process, come 2023, you tend to lose. People will say you can't manage people. They will use that as a political tool against you. The ANC has to be very strategic, because if this information that is emanating from the Secretary General of the CDC is true, you have already accepted that the CDC has failed. But then there is something that is coming from your political institution. You are trying to project yourself as the best alternative, as the name depicts. If this goes wrong and it is executed by people who have mutilated characteristics from the past regime, then you will bear the consequence at the ballot box, because you will have mixed reactions. When it goes successful and the aim is achieved, you will take the glory. But if I was a political leader, I would not want to venture into this, because protest has never gone right. I've been a protester before. Never gone right.
This is what I want to. This is the reason why I want to play this. And there's something I want to bring out in this thing. Like you said, the protest is not a thing. Every one of us know that, we've got our rights to protest. In so doing, we are responsible of anything that happens within the process. But having a tribal-based protest, it is something that we need to look at and see it well. Listen, if, for example, Fendela, you come up, you say you are the head of XYZ institution, but only, like, for example, the Mende people, the Grebo people, and the Crown people that you need in that group, you are creating an environment for a serious chaos at the end of the day. Because if John Brown is of no member of any of the tribes, they become very unsafe into all the things you will do. They will think that they are not member of that group. So anything you do, even if there are things you are doing in their interest, they will see it differently. There are things that the Secretary General made allegations of. And I will try to reach out to him. We're questioning on the show tonight, if we have him. Like, we will try to also reach out to Ambassador Louis Brown to speak to him on some of these things. Like I said, we've tried calling him up to present. He did not answer, but we'll still make that so that we can have a balanced show. If we don't have him, we'll let you know. We messaged him and we'll also place calls to him, but he did not answer. Let the producer play this thing. Let us listen to this again, and let us listen to some of the major allegations being made by the Secretary General. If it is something that we need to accept or believe, we need to provide our analysis. Let's play this again.
The Secretary has informed us. The Secretary has informed us that Louis Brown needs to be. Louis Brown need to be aware that those tactics that throw the country back to war, those tactics will never be repeated here. Is that possible? The last 2 hours ago, he presided over a meeting. He presided over people, he called them partisans. They're not partisans. Those are informers of the People's Party. In that meeting, I'm telling you, Prosper, he knows, you'll be surprised. The meeting just ended, and he declared the 17th of December to cause chaos in this country. And he was making similarity with the April 14 arrest riot. He needs to wake up from his slumber. The party is around to remind men with mutilated history. People like the likes of Mr. Brown must be asking for forgiveness, must be asking for repentance, not to be fermenting. And I want to say to our friends who are members of the arrangement called the ANC, we want to say to you, to not allow a man who just as a serious citizen of the ANC, a stranger has taken over the land of the people. He wants to use the 17 as a way to prove to Alexander Cummings that he has the way waited to make him president. Let him stop. There are certain things we permitted that were before. It was not close to elections. But this party will work to help this country to keep the peace of this country. The party will do that. For 12 years, we kept the peace in this country. 17, and said the core of the 17 in that meeting. He said the core of the 17 Liberian tired suffering. Are you the mocker of the Liberian people? When people tired suffering, they don't utter A. They act A. Stop engaging into excitement. And we want to say to you, the people of this country, nobody in this country, never again that this country will retrogress into backwardness and into chaos and carnage. Now I understand why Alexander Cummings is delving into activities that have the similarity of taking this country to war.
You listen, the man said,
this is exactly what I was saying. That you got to bring me back on the
now I won't do. Sorry.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. The ANC has to be careful because they are now tying this debate to Mr. Alexander Cummings because he's running for the presidency. And when this debate degenerates into something different, the ANC will start to come out and clarify. This is about time the party speaks on this matter. Like I said, protest under our law is guaranteed. The CDC should not be afraid of protest.
No, but the way in which the protest, the intent of the protest is what we should look at. And you listen to what the Secretary General of the CDC said. They did not say, like, for example, Fendela, some of you had a lot of protests in this country. And some of the things you stood for, you said you wanted the right thing to happen. You did not protest to say you want to, remove the government from power. That was none of anything you protested against in this country.
In fact, we went beyond that. Let me just correct you too. We formed the Ellen Step Down campaign. We said Ellen did not do something, Ellen must step down. That protest was launched to detour. But again, it was held by non-political actors. We were leading that squarely by civil society. But my thing is, the message and the messenger, they are the two things. For me, I have a problem with Louis Brown because this man, he has no moral ground to talk about anything that resembles protest in this country. He used his platform in the past
or anything about maybe a government or a particular regime is not doing well, because Louis Brown worked with a government that people also criticize that they're not doing well. Like you said, you people call for Ellen step down.
Of course, and that's why I say the CDC should not be afraid of protests.
And you could listen to Louis Brown at the time. He defended the government to the teeth. That there was nothing bad happening.
But
you know, let me come to this. Was it true that there was a meeting held today?
That's what we need to know. How do we know that?
Was it true that that meeting was held today? It has been agreed that on the 17th of next month, as it has been alleged by the Secretary General of CDC, Jefferson Koji, that the ANC will be protesting with quote-unquote people that they term to be partisans. But you listen to Koji saying that they are not partisans. Who are they?
They say they are the informers of the People's Party. I'm assuming that the ANC has been infiltrated and that those who he presided over were informers of the CDC. He, Louis Brown, called or described or saw as partisans of the ANC, because he said, you are presiding over the People's Party. That those who were speaking to, they were not partisans, they were informers of the People's Party. The People's Party, in this context, suggests it was sedition, that more seditions were in that meeting, planning the protest on the 17th. And this is where I'm saying that political institutions, especially the ANC, has to be careful. Because when people infiltrate your political institution, then you become, you know, something else.
So this is it. Let's look at the record. You know, sometimes you want to, when someone tells you that Fendela, that Sekou is a criminal, you want to look at Sekou's record for the time you've known him up to present, then you can make a judgment as to whether that information is true or not. Let's look at the record of Louis Brown. Is Louis Brown a person of such? Is he capable to do such? Like you said, Louis Brown is one of the best. When it comes to these kinds of, you know, planning, Louis Brown is very good at that. He knows as well. Louis Brown is a very good communicator. Louis Brown, I can remember, and this I will continue to say, before Louis Brown was appointed by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they were the people that said the worst things about Ellen's on radio stations in the country. And here's the famous, you know, word or one of the statements he made, that President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf desecrated the sacredness of the office she represents at the time. With these kinds of strong words that were used, later on, the only thing we saw of Louis Brown was to be the information minister and serving other positions. Louis Brown, it has been alleged that he had a tie or some kind of work he did for the former president, Charles Taylor, or by the time, you know, there were, you know, government issue. Louis Brown is very, very crafty, that no one can doubt his ability of making things work. This is what he did. I'm just judging from, you know, knowing the Louis Brown, making people to understand what he's capable of doing. We are not confirming what they've said against him, the allegation. No, we're not saying it's truth. Neither are we saying it is false. You can remember when Louis Brown took over, that was one of the speeches that made people to understand that Louis Brown was already on the side of Alexander Cummings. When Mr. Cummings came up and spoke to the president, I think, was it the president made a certain statement, and he returned in or open communication to the president, asking the president that they should go for a debate and do some other issues. And that was being speculated that that communication or that document or whatsoever, that speech or letter, open communication, was written by Louis Brown because of his ability he has. From that point, people got to understand that Louis Brown is cursing or has cursed to Mr. Alexander Cummings. What am I trying to say? He has the ability to make himself relevant when he wants to make himself relevant. Either he used so many ways. If you listen to the Secretary General, Mayor Koji, said that in one of the ways that Louis Brown wants to show to Cummings that he can pull the number or he has the control is to have that protest. Mind you, ANC, it has been alleged, or they were part of the June 6, I think June 6 or June 7 protest, right? They supported it, right? So it is of no secret, June 7. So it is of no secret that ANC can support protests. So if this thing is truth, it could be true that ANC could be supporting this through Louis Brown as one of the means. But my thing here is, how can we authenticate this allegation by the Secretary General? You said the people had a meeting today. In few hours, you had a press conference, and then you talk about it. And not just talking about it, but you were specific. But these things we need to understand. These things can happen in politics, though. Politicians are very crafty. And with the Secretary General, he knows that these things, even though it is a political issue, but it has some consequences that when you make these kinds of grave allegations, you are answerable under the law to prove them. Because you're talking about bringing war in a country. You now want some man to make that kind of an allegation. Jefferson Koji. You're saying that the ANC wants to bring war?
No, he was very specific. He said Louis Brown.
No, but when you get, listen now, when you get Louis Brown, that is one of the staunch supporters of Alexander Cummings, and Alexander Cummings is the head of ANC, mind you, most of the pieces of advice that Louis Brown will give Cummings will listen to it. So if anything happens in extension, it's the ANC. So if the Secretary General is making this kind of grave allegation against Louis Brown, in extension the ANC, I think it's something we will look at it politically, but it's something that we need to take very serious. And the ANC should be able to tell us. That's the reason why we've been making all efforts to get Mr. Brown on the line to ask him about this. And we will also make efforts to go on the line to speak to the Secretary General of CDC, Jefferson Koji, on this issue, because the whole thing here are looking at it. You know, when you move into towards political time, Fendela, there will be a lot of rhetorics. There will be a lot of things that people will try to do to buy the sympathy of the Liberian people. It could either be done through protests, it could either be done through statements, it could either be done through other means. Now, this government wants to be re-elected. So she will bring all kinds of means to make the people to believe that they want to do something, or they wanted to do something. It is because of the embarrassment that the other group brought. That's the reason why they didn't do it. But the other people too, like the opposition, the ANC people and other people, will want to prove to the Liberian people that the people in government are not the right people, so they should not look at them. But in some cases, like you said, I don't think Louis Brown is the rightful conveyor of a message of development in terms of good governance or some other things.
Yeah, like what I was saying, stay an allegation. I don't know whether it's true, but someone who abused public office before, especially when he was at the Ministry of Information, he had the option to protect freedom of speech, not to threaten civil liberty. He availed his platform. If that platform was availed for people to insult, I will have no problem. But avail that platform to say that, especially the Jones security, avail that platform 2 different times, incited people in this country to use lethal and non-lethal force. I think he was thinking at the time that he was still under the administration of former imprisoned president, now imprisoned President Charles Taylor. And I'm sure the United Party, some of the great guys within the United Party, frowned at him. That his statements were wrong, that the statements from the Minister of Defense and the police director then, Chris Masakwe, were not also reflective of the democratic values and principles within Liberia and across the world, especially where citizens were preparing to protest. And this is why I say the CDC should not be afraid of protest, because you are the architects of protest. I personally, I don't speak for CDC. I will have a problem if this information is true, that Louis Brown is planning a protest. I will have a problem because he did not protest in the past before. He did not agree with protests. He threatened civil liberty. He availed his platform for people to threaten protesters that they will use lethal and non-lethal force. The message of protest is a good one. The messenger is a bad person. And this is why we are asking people close to Mr. Alexander Cummings. I don't know him to be somebody with a stigma. I don't know him to be somebody who participated in war before. But to allow his institution to be used in these kinds of circumstances, it undermines the territorial integrity of our country, especially when individuals who just joined your party are now going into the 15th political subdivision of the country to mobilize people and sell the message and want to use this time, you know, to bring issue about protest. It's a very fine idea. Make no mistake. If it goes well, you take the glory. But I'm not too sure the CDC will want to use the same method. If you try that, your regime will end even before 2023. Because we saw in the past, remain consistent. And it is a challenge to President Weah and the CDC. Any attempt to respond with force, because you have heard that protest is coming on December 17. Don't allow emotions to take away your governmental responsibility to sit for your citizens. If you recognize that they are angry, now that you know that they are angry and that they are planning a protest, it is your responsibility as a government to now go to them. What are the issues? What are the issues? Debate. Sit on the table and debate. A government that refuses to sit with their opponents and discuss competing challenges or disagreements and find a common ground for the forward march of the country, that government is irresponsible. And that is the reason why, for me, I sincerely believe that in these kinds of engagements, as we prepare for 2023 elections, we do not want to start a political wahala. Already registration is starting on the 17th. We don't want to disenfranchise the rights of our people from going to the pool and register. Maybe after registration, it will be a very good thing, because my understanding is that voter registration starts on the 15th of December. So it means if we start the protest, which is guaranteed under our law, many people will not register because we don't know how the protest will end.
Okay.
Whether it
Fernando,
will go for 1 month or go for 2 years.
Let me just hold you there, please. I'm just from on the phone with Mr. Louis Brown, and I was telling him, because professionally, before you put someone on the air, you need to tell them. And I was telling him that we want to talk to him concerning some of the allegations that has been leveled against him, and in extension the ANC. And he said he has not listened to what are the allegations, though he has been receiving messages, calls, but he's been in meeting. He just came out to talk to respond to my call, and he said he's going to be having a press conference on tomorrow, and he wants to take time to listen what are the allegations. But it means this thing is getting serious and it's getting somewhere. You know, politicians at times they will say something. Louis, you not hear everything. But let me also try, in this thing that we do, like I said, we will do a balance show here. Okay. Let me try to go and get the. Let me see if I can do this. I want to. Fendela, it's good that we ask few questions to the mayor. Let me also try to reach out to the Secretary General. And the reason why I continue to say Secretary General, because that's his position. He was recently elected from the convention, so I want to reach out to him to talk to him on this. There are a few things I want to find out. I still have some doubts about some issues. Let me be honest with you. When these, when the election or elections are coming, you have lots of things happening. And we, the media people, if we're not careful, sometimes the people can use us to get that message to a certain level. Then at the end of the day, we start to ask ourselves, why is it we did what we did? But this allegation is very grave. Listening to what Secretary General, of CDC saying, this is not just one of the local things, but I hope
this thing is a classified information.
Very classified.
Because I think it don't forget about the allegation. But in your bedroom, if information, when you are having a confidential information or confidential or maybe a very strategic or secret meeting, political parties have secret meetings, emergency meetings. So forget about that.
Yeah.
And if information leaves from there, it gets in the public domain, it means your surrounding is infested. And the Secretary General made it very clear that you are presiding over the People Party. You should take cognizance of that. That 2023 election, you'll be slipping certain information the guys will also bring it in the public domain. So I'm not just looking at the allegation. How did it even get outside if this information is true?
But you listen to the Secretary General Jefferson Koji saying that most of the people that Louis Brown was allegedly having that conversation with, they were all, spies or seditions. So it is something, if it is true, we should not be asking how the information got out. Because, definitely they will convey the information to whosoever that they want to. But are there pictorial evidence or something to prove the allegation that it is true this happened?
Well, this is where we want to, like we said, we're just trying to speak to the issues. We don't have the facts. The allegations are not yet proving. And according to you, Mr. Brown is going to have a press statement tomorrow.
That's what he said to me.
We hope, I don't know, I'm sure somebody might have called him to say this is what has happened. And but I'm only cautioning the ANC. So Alexander Kumi has to be very careful. Political institutions are good, but sometimes people who join a political institution, they can destroy and they can. The same thing with the media. The media is a very good institution, but the way you use the media, it can destroy you and it can promote you. It is just there. So when people join your political institution, you have to assess them. I personally say that Louis Brown is a fine species, but sometimes his engagements, you know, are problematic. And reflecting what he did when he was Minister of Information, you know, a man who enjoyed freedom of speech, when he said that the president has desecrated the sanctity of the Liberian presidency, he was given an opportunity to come into government and he could not protect freedom of speech, rather avail his platform for people to threaten civil liberty, to say they will use lethal and non-lethal force. If anyone goes on the street to go and protest, I felt he contradicted his statements that he professed to be someone that respects the rule of law and freedom of speech. You know, and him in the past and coming into government, you know, and leaving from government in an ambassadorial position, sitting and strategically looking at the political landscape of the country and trying to re-enter politics at the level of the ANC, I would have thought that by this time, he will use his strategies to mobilize people in the 15th political subdivision of the Republic of Liberia. And for me, the timing, we are talking about voter registration. It starts in December 15. So if this protest hold, it means our people who are supposed to register and make decisions in 2023, they will be disenfranchised. Their rights will be disenfranchised. But again, I'm just saying this because protest under our law is guaranteed. The only question I have for the CDC, I'm cautioning them is not to engage people wanting to protest, even on Christmas Day, you know, with certain ruthless tactics or measures or your police. You have to be very peaceful and engage them. If you choose not to negotiate with them, when I say negotiation, I'm not talking about money, but to go and sit down. What are the issues? President Ellen Johnson said he did it. We saw they used to call President Weah on many occasions. Mr. Weah, we understand, yes, that your party has issued a statement, but we think this is not timely. They were engaging, they were blast. You know, they were on the aggressive defensive. If I should borrow the words of former Press Secretary to Charles Taylor, Vanny passed away. They were on the aggressive defensive. You know, and on many occasions, CDC came under severe criticism for wanting to protest, especially on key dates that undermine, you know, certain national developments in the country. And President Weah, on some occasions, he came, he said, let there be no protest. And on one occasion, he frowned at our protest. He said there should be no protest, you know, and he spoke against his own party. It required negotiations. When people negotiate with institutions, they find common ground. Protest is necessary, and don't be afraid of protest because you are the architect of protest. What I have problem with personally is the individual in question. If this allegation is true, I am saying it will be an embarrassment to the ANC because I'm not too sure the ANC wants to advance to power through protest. Already people are linking you with so many things. It is not timely for people who just enter your political party to hijack the political party to say something. I hope that press statement is not issued on the premises of the ANC headquarters tomorrow because it will validate that, yes, this protest that is being planned is supported by the ANC. So I'm just encouraging
the ANC, so anything he does,
it should not be on the premises of the ANC. Let Mr. Kumi and the ANC remain neutral in this entire process so that people who wanting to advance this political agenda through protest can have a different venue to advance.
So you want the man to go where? You want the man to go where?
It will validate. It will validate.
Okay, let me just hold you. Let me try to establish contact with the Secretary General of the CDC in person of the man got 2 big positions in the country. Should I say, okay, let me get him on the line now. The Secretary General of the CDC, Jefferson Koji. Good evening, Mayor Koji, and thank you for at least accepting our call.
Sharif, even to your listening audience.
Okay, you live on the radio. Let me say thank you. We've been making calls to see as well that we followed your press conference, particularly the press conference you had today, and there were lots of allegations made against Louis Brown of the Alternative National Congress. Now, one of the main things I want to know from you is, how authentic are your allegations leveled against Louis Brown?
Well, Sekou, you caught me in the middle of a program, and I didn't know that early on air. I'm walking about. You can see my background is very massive. I'm in the local community. I've been called to attend one of these occasions, so you can permit me. I will just walk away a little bit, so you can be able to re-echo what you just stated about your question.
Okay, no problem. I also want to say thank you for taking the call. You want us to keep you on the line, then we continue, or what you want us to do?
Yeah, I just want to hear if I heard you say I'm currently on air currently.
Yes, you live on the radio. Like I said, we've been trying to reach you since the start of the show based on the recently held press conference at the headquarters of the Congress of Democratic Change.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, yes. So this is what we've been discussing. I am a team along with Fendela. Also, Fendela would love to ask you at a certain point in time, how authentic are some of the things you said in your press conference, looking at the allegations? Number one.
Oh, you mean Fendela Patrick?
Yes, he's on the show as well.
Okay.
So let's go to the question. The Secretary General of CDC and also the Mayor of Monrovia. How authentic is this, your allegation against Louis Brown? How factual it is? Because you said there were meetings held today, and you are specific about the time, date, and how they want to carry out the alleged protest. My question to you, how authentic is your information or allegation against Louis Brown?
Well, basically, let me say thank you. Like I said to you, I'm currently attending the program, so you will hear my background being very announcing. Sometimes when people give information, the easiest way to do is to match the character of that person and what the person is currently saying. And I've been in this country. I cannot check what I have said, which of course, having anybody have disproved that or for it being truthful. I was just trying to say basically about the peace of our country. We are interested because we have fought in this country for what you call a competitive democracy, a democracy that will create an atmosphere where people can be able to participate freely. Today, as a precise hour, like we mentioned, we've been around here for some time. I would say the Secretary General of the CDC is basically the biggest bureau of intelligence in our country, in our borders politics. Our partisans are all over the place. Sometimes they go when people who are so desperate and that they can do anything possible to obtain leadership, they go. What the point we have been very clear, it was just to send out this warning. And people that elect some Mr. Brown to think that you can push this program in a way to secure your chairmanship as a campaign chairperson for the coming elections. You don't have to create a situation to threaten the peace of our country. Today, as I'm telling you, if Mr. Brown said to you that what I'm saying is not factual, I can be able to prove to you every single conversation I've been discussed at that meeting. One, like I said to you on the 17th, they had a meeting, and in that meeting, he is targeting to say he want to put 100,000 Liberians on the street, and he want to have a repeat of the April 14 West Wire situation. 2,000 person, because their coordinator will be recruited, and each of the 2,000 person, 50 person will be required. One person will be required of the 2,000 to recruit 50 person. Another 50 person, five United States dollars will be given them, and so that those people will converge at the headquarters of the CDF, the Liberty Party, where the meeting was held today.
Mm-hmm.
And they will march
to. Is it Liberty Party? The meeting was held, or ANC headquarters?
No, but currently now they're using the Liberty Party headquarters now. They use it as a Liberty Party headquarters on the street. That's what they're using the meeting. That meeting was being attended today. So that's what they're going to start. And in fact, the destination for that meeting, they're going to use SKD, wherever will be conversion of SKD. And the outcome is to show to Mr. Cummings that he has what it takes to make him president. And all we're saying, we got no issue about engaging the political activities. But what we think, when people think you can engage into threatening the peace and democracy of our country, I think that is totally unfair. We should not create a system as we move to elections. People should not engage into, inciting our people into actions that have the proclivity to undermine the peace and stability of our country. Our country has seen so much. I'm glad you have Fendela over there. Because Fendela is a friend and a person who also stood to ensure that we have a fledgling democracy we have today. We think the likes of Louis Brown, who is characterized with a mutilated history of our body politics in this country, cannot be this person, even in sowing a seed of division among the ANC. There are people in the ANC that enjoy my respect, that I also know and respect them. We want to have a very clean. You can say somebody who come in here to take over the party and begin to use a means that will plunge this country into chaos. I think something is very wrong. It's actually major. I just want to get past
Okay. No, it's something major now. It has taken over. You have we as journalists and media people, we have interest in such because the peace of the country is something very important. Fendela, you want to ask a question before we go ahead?
Yeah, so I was concerned when he said that he's presiding over the People's Party, knowing the ANC is an independent political institution. So in his speech, he did mention that Mr. Brown is presiding over the People's Party, and they have the ability to gather every information, wherever he speaks. So I wanted him to make that clarity with respect to Mr. Brown presiding over the People's Party. And secondly, now that you are aware that this protest is planning to take place, especially at the time where voter registration is going to take place, it starts on the 15th of December. Our people are preparing to register to make a decision in 2017, or 2023. So with this information that he has had, first-hand information, whether classified or first-hand information, what is the government going to do? Are they going to open their doors to confront their opponents and chart a new course of action so as not to delay the voter registration process? Because if the protest hold, people will not go to work. People will not register. So it means we'll also be jeopardizing, the electoral process come 2023. Where does he stand on that?
Okay, Mayor, you listen to that. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, okay. Could you just help me? I did not get him to know too well.
Okay, so what he was asking, he said, looking at the way next month around the 15, 16 will be the voter roll process in the country as we move towards the elections. Where do you people stand? Is it that you people going to engage the ANC or Louis Brown as to have a way out about this, or how do you people going to do it?
One thing to be very clear. One thing that whether in United Party, whether in CDC, or whether other party, we may agree that we have different political ideology, but we agreed that never again that this country can retrogress into chaos. I think Liberians who are tired, they would prefer to watch a government to end and have an opportunity to change the leadership, but they will not participate in anything that will alter a democratic system in this country. I don't think they will do that. So our duty as a political party, and I speak as the Secretary General of the Congress of Democratic Change. So our duty first to let the government to be aware about the dangerous activities of Louis Brown. And sometimes the reason why we're not taking this lightly because when you look at Louis Brown's history and what he has done over the period of time, such an information has the proclivity to threaten the peace and stability of our country. So as a political party, we are doing everything possible to ensure that the peace of this country will not be interrupted, that the peace of this country will not be undermined by any single individual.
How will you make sure? I'm very good. How will you do that? Are you gonna do a counter protest?
Inform the people. No. We have a university. It's to inform our people. Now the government is aware. So to inform our people that look, just political hospitals should not bombard them into seeking political relevance. So we will inform as we speak to you.
Oh, sorry, we stay.
To follow and communicate or in a slum. As I speak to you now, I'm in Lockington. We are informing our people adequately.
Is this message, so is it this message you are taking out to the people? Is it the reason why you're in Lockington to tell the people that, oh, Louis Brown wants to have a protest in the country? The line. Let me. Go ahead.
Even people who attended the meeting today, even some people who attended the meeting, they testified to what they said. Even in the meeting, Mr. Brown were making comparison of the April 14th arrest riot. Can you imagine? You go to a meeting and you start inciting the people about the late Gabriel Barker Matthew and start saying to them that we got to come out and tell the people that the Liberian people are tired. We're bringing international people. We're bringing people from Ghana and all those things. People are aware, the Liberian people are aware. They may have political differences, but never again they will support anything that have a similarity to plunge this country into chaos.
Do you think the ANC is in support of the alleged discussion of Louis Brown?
I think there could be some surrogate on Louis Brown, but I think there are people in the ANC who believe in this country will not support Mr. Brown for what he's doing. I met people in ANC who told me they do not support Mr. Brown because they said Mr. Brown was the one who organized the program and told Mr. Cummings that the Creole people support him. So ANC people told me that they do not support tribal politics because they understand what it takes in this country. There were times in this country certain particular tribe were being hunted for, and they will not support anything, even though they do not agree with the CDC. But at the same time, they will not support anything that have this, that have the semblance of or taking us back to the old order. So people in ANC spoke to me. They do not support the approach. Now as I speak to you, there are serious people who are the true owners of ANC. They are preparing to rise against Louis Brown to tell Mr. Comey that there are many people in this place here who can make you president. You do not have to do issues that will cause this country chaos before you become president. Those forces will come up very soon in that long distant future within the ANC as I speak.
This is what you said. One of the things you talked about in your press conference. You said the reason why you noticed that Mr. Cummings is having all the engagements of recent he's having is because of the way he wants to do things to bring war in the country. That's a very big allegation. Are there indicators as to Mr. Cummings himself bringing war to Liberia?
So we were very clear and saying to you that Mr. Cummings being in this country and the way he's been conducting himself politically, all of a sudden, since his association with Mr. Brown, this character has flipped dramatically. And I think, I said activities that Mr. Brown is encouraging and making Mr. Cummings to get involved. Those activities have the proclivity to suggest to all the old days where trap, what you see today, like a simple example what Joseph Baga already said, the key people supporting. We should not fashion last. The girl people, the tribe girl is not a political party. It's a tribe. You cannot come and say a single tribe pledge the loyalty to support a candidacy of an individual. Anyone who does that, you try to remind us about the old order. We do not want to return that. Those are things that our people suffer for years to years. I remember when the Crown people would not have a space to work in this country. I can remember when the brothers and sisters from the Matinga tribe, I can remember when the Giyo people were being hunted for. It's not that they committed a crime, but because people use what you call collective guilt, a blanket accusation of anybody. Let us not engage into divisive politics that have the proclivity to take us back to the days of old.
And that's the question I want to ask you. That is the question I want to ask you.
This country must be in a position to repent. They should not be against fermenting issues that talk back to this country. We are aware of that, and we're not prepared to walk through those roads that will be responsible for the backwardness of our country.
Now, before I let you go, I know you said you've been having some issues or some other programs, engagements where you are. Is it because of the number of persons that came up for the program you just mentioned that have sent some scare signals within the CDC? That's the reason why you people are coming up with all these kinds of allegations as to a point that, the people want to bring things that could bring war in the country.
Let me say to you, for us, numbers can no longer scare the CDC. No political power with so much humility. What the CDC have done here with numbers, no political party cannot even repeat that. So we do not get jitter because people converge. What we get jitter of when people threaten the peace and stability of the country, that is the issue. It's not about conversion. We have created a climate where people can take this person, where people can president and they still go to bed and nothing happened to them. I remember when Vendetta Patrick, a friend of brother of ours, who yesteryears said something, he was incarcerated. I was incarcerated under Ellen Johnson said when Louis Brown was information minister 7 times. There are things we say that could not go because we understand what we invested into the peace of this country. And that's why we are very alarmed about the path that people are trying to drag this country to. It's not about people converting.
Honorable Koji, before I let you go, let me ask you this question. Now, in the security, securities will always look at the person, ability to do certain things. For example, if the person says that they're going to do this, then for those of the people in the security sector will say, does he, is he in the position or he has the capacity to do that? Do you think Louis Brown has that capacity to do what you just allege of him?
Well, as we go to elections, people basically take into consideration, like I said, to his history, this character history. What was he associated with? And Louis, make no mistake, Mr. Brown been around here for some time. He been around. He served this government in many capacity, previous and current government. And we know exactly this man's history. We are saying to you, for this man to have an opportunity to be the campaign chairperson of a man who wants to bring with resources at his disposal, you cannot take chances with this person. So I think you cannot take chances with this person. You cannot exploit the vulnerabilities of our people for your own self-aggrandizement. Those kind of a move get us to be very much alarmed, and that's why we should quickly rise to the occasion to ensure that the proper message being disseminated and the stakeholders that are responsible for security of our country must also be alarmed and begin to move in quickly. We can't wait situation erupt. If I even the same meeting that's been mentioned about June 7, he said he's not going to do June 7 the way it went. They're going to ensure that the international community know that this government is autocratic, that this government is not permitting free speech. So we think you can politic, but you cannot engage into undermining the peace and stability of our country. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you very much. Thank you. He's the Secretary General. And you listen to what he said again. And I don't know. And let me say this again on the show. We made efforts to reach to Mr. Louis Brown. I spoke to Mr. Louis Brown, but he said he's going to have a press conference tomorrow. So that means anything that's going to be, discussed here, we cannot be responsible because we play our part. We were not forced you to talk. Now you listen to what the Secretary General of the CDC, Jefferson Koji, just made mention of again. That if the folks in the ANC or Louis Brown says that it is false, he's willing to come up with proof. This thing is taking another, you want to say something, Fendela, so we go to the lines.
Let me just say this, and thank you that you made an effort a very good effort to reach the Secretary General of the CDC. And thank you that he responded. But I maintain my position. This could be a trap for the CDC. You have to be very careful. It could be a trap of emotional intelligence. If you are not careful, citizens, I'm talking to you. If you are not careful, you might just unnecessarily do something that will paint the political institution and the government so bad that before 2023 elections, you have already seen your political demise. Why it's true that it is the responsibility of the government not to take things lightly. According to the Secretary General, he knows the history of Mr. Louis Brown. When the catfish leaves some water and come out and say crocodile is a rogue, you can't deny it because everybody lives in the same water. These people have been in political parties. They have served in different political ranks and file within their institutions. But what I want to say, and I say this again, the government has a responsibility to protect its citizens, not to deprive them of their rights to exercising their democratic franchise. It could be protest. Protest is guaranteed under Article 1, Article 17 of the Liberian Constitution. They have to enjoy that particular constitutional right. However, I ask a question, what is the government going to do? I would have expected, and I'm still encouraging the CDC-led government to pursue a more strategic diplomatic dialogue. If this is true, we do not want to have a problem where people are not registering. That alone, everybody going to lose. Because assuming that this protest takes place on the 17th, people are supposed to register.
The doer of the act should be blamed.
You don't blame anybody in this matter because people right will be this, they will not go and register. We are talking about voter registration now.
Okay.
The laws that we've been making, the problem that we have had over the period of time, we are now getting ready to sign up to decide the fate of those individuals in 2023. The process just starts, then we come into the entire process. Yes, nobody going to win. And so I am suggesting, and I'm advancing a solution. The government has a responsibility. Any government that refuses to negotiate, I'm not saying giving money, but to sit down and dialogue with your opponents without losing the originality of your voice, of your governmental power, it means you are not a leader, or that government is insensitive to the plight of its people. We encourage the CDC to emulate the example of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It's not that she was stupid, but she used to sit on the table with CDC lawmakers, with President Weah, including the party, to discuss that this is unnecessary. We don't want you to proceed this. There were several meetings that were held between opposition political parties. And second, let me let you know how did I know even on October 6, 2013, the CDC, not the CDC, the ANC, I'm talking about the NPP, the Liberty Party. It was first of its kind. They had a press conference at the YMCA to go and discourage people from going on the street to go and protest against President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It took negotiation on the part of the UP-led government to bring opposition political parties to interfere into the body politics of our specifically to discourage some who were leading that protest because we had general reason. It took leadership. The government did not say, let the people go do what they want to do. The government went to those political institutions. So while you come here to defend, you have a responsibility to protect the peace and to ensure that you
even though that is true, the government has, but every one of us as citizens too, we have the right, responsibility to protect the peace. But I think government, security apparatus, Koji is now one of the the small names when it comes to political issues. So when he speaks, he takes responsibility of everything he says. I think now what maybe the security people will do, reach out to him. Like you said, I have the engagements and everything, but it could be very good for us, if Mr. Brown could speak, get he to say something. But he said tomorrow you're going to have a press conference. We're waiting here. But let's go to the lines 0770907. But this is a very great allegation 0770907 0770907 0880 are the two numbers 0770907 are the numbers to join us on the radio tonight on the program Issues of Today. We're going to go to the lines. Please move from your monitor when you are calling so that we can have you live on the radio. The very first person. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Vendora Patrick.
Good evening. How you doing? Who's speaking?
Emmanuel Dungo call you from Broadway Bible College Community.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I listened to the radio while driving in when I heard Vendora Patrick coming to speak. And he made some cardinal point that CDC need to be very careful. This could be a trap. The light of Louis Brown is very crafty when he's doing things. Very smart. And I don't want the CDC to be jittery or start to catch fever. We should put our house in order and be very intelligent doing it. We all pray for the betterment of the country. Nobody subscribe to war. The war are damaging about us, and even we are damaged right now, although we are not happy in the country we're living in, but we pray that things improve tomorrow. So when you subscribe that CDC can put our house in order, that because they're the head of the country now, and they go funny, we're going to hold them responsible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, this person. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Good evening. Hey, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Mike calling from Johnsonville.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make a point clear on Major Koji. You see, when it comes to politics in Liberia and when it comes to violence, no one person, young person or old person in the country can call Louis Brown mean to be a violent president. But you see, what happened? Major Koji, they are afraid because of their own allegation, because of what they are involved into. So they will always try to endow somebody or someone into a predicament. What is happening right now is that because these guys, they are scared. They don't want for Louis Brown to maybe conduct protest and all those kind of things. But what I'm trying to say is that there will be no protest, and Louis Brown, I don't think he's having a protest that will be safe until election.
Okay, thank you. Let's take another person. Hello. Okay, let's take this person. Hello. Let me come to this line. The call. Hello.
Good evening, Sheriff.
Good evening.
Yeah, Mr. Good evening to your colleague Vanilla Patrick. I'm Emmanuel M. Tokba Jr. and I join you this evening for my resident to community. Well, let me say thank you for always giving us the platform. I listened to our Secretary General, the mayor, on the allegation surrounding the former Minister Louis Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it is a fact, because if it is a fact, then we want to discourage the former minister, from such an action. Because Liberia, we have had so many tough times, we have gone through so many bad times, and it is about time we value democratic principles. If you want to unseat President George we all want to encourage Liberians, let us meet 2023 at the balance square, other than carry on so many different kinds of protests. Why it is still protest is good, but we don't want to see it as a trap. Because the name Louis Brown, it is a household name in Liberia, and the name is not known for doing good in this country. The name has an association with our president, Charles Taylor. We all know our past. So Louis Brown came on a protest. It's not a trap. So we want to discourage him by using every other word. We want to call on him, Louis Brown. If you support Mr. Cummings, if you show you have the numbers to defeat President we the masses, let us meet 2023 at the box. Thank you very much for putting it.
Thank you very much. Another person. Hello.
Hello, Secretary.
Good evening.
My name is Alex Johnson. I joined this conversation from the Blackwood Avenue into community.
Go ahead.
I called this evening to make my analysis on it.
Yeah, man, I will tell you for. Go ahead now.
Okay. You know, everybody has their constitutional right, and where your right ends is where Sarah's right begins from. So if I would hear the Secretary General and President Akoji to say they will try to take precaution in the sense that anybody who come up with a protest reflecting the mind of people relating to this conflict that took place during April 14 and all of those riot issues, you know, during those times, it's not something for us to continue to tell the young people this come around. The issue is that whenever you are in authority, you are being classified like a parent's parent, and you should be able to muster the courage to play that high maturity role. We all agree that yes, CC protests against the heading joining their government. Granted, but today the protest that the civilian carry on during the heading joining their government.
Okay, thank you very much. This person. Hello. Good
So,
evening.
Yeah, so good evening.
Yes, you're live. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Lawrence Spencer, and I live Johnson Road Council as usual.
Go ahead.
Let me say good evening to my respected brother Vandana Patrick, for always coming to the platform with so much objectivism and being thoughtful. But I mean, no wonder why Debina has got the entire memorial. The man who, I mean, has the blessing of the president to make sure our city is intact. He was not managing the business to do his job. It's all what the place down in and have no control over. I mean, it is a scare tactic. Let me say this. Because of what we say, we will not speak on what we know. But thankfully, Mr. Brown said he will be coming out tomorrow to speak. And not for the public's sake. Hello, Segun?
Go ahead, you live.
Yeah. And not for the public's sake, I will encourage my senior brother Louis Brown to give Mr. Koji attention. Two things.
Oh, you think a small thing, you say they never get attention to it.
No, Segun, listen.
I mean, no matter what you do, how you think, how you say Koji name is not one of the names that will say something you don't want people to respond.
Yes, sure, Segun. That's what I'm saying. Because of the public's sake, the Liberia people like you and other people like Vandala sake, I mean, Mr. Brown should respond, but I know what we know. I'm in the party, right? I know what we know.
But you in the party, what you say wrong about the party? Okay.
No.
Thank you. Let me take another person here. Hello. Hello. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Seku, thank you for the program. My name is Desmond Eugene Nimler, Director of Communications of the ANC.
Oh, so you the Director of Communication? Wait. You the Director of Communications, right?
Yes, Seku. I mean,
okay. That's good.
I'm surprised you're asking the question.
But because I don't know.
So I mean, we followed the show and we listened to the conversation. we just listened to.
When you say we, you and who?
Folks from the ANC, our attention has been drawn to the allegations, made by Major Jefferson Koji against our standard bearer, our political leader. You know, he tried linking our standard bearer into something that the entire world knows, that Mr. Cummings is.
Are you speaking the capacity as an official spokesperson, so that anything you say, maybe we could see it as the party?
So Sekou, I am the director of communications of the ANC.
So anything you say is official.
So we are speaking to the allegations made by Major Jefferson Koji against our political leader and Senator of the CPP.
What about Louis Brown? You're speaking for Louis Brown?
So, Sekou, it is clear Ambassador Brown has already told you that tomorrow he's going to address the media.
Okay, so he on his own. Okay, he on his own.
No,
So
he's not on his own. He's not on his own.
So, but I want to ask you now, Desmond. I will give you time. Oh, don't worry. I will give you more time, more than 5 minutes. If you don't mind, I will give you time. What I'm asking you here is this: can we consider your statement or all of the answers you're going to give us as official, because you are the director of communications of ANC? That's what I'm asking you.
Sekou, you are a journalist. You are a talk show host. You are a journalist, and so you know. What statement to take?
Eugene, my man. You know what, Desmond? Sometimes people will say they did not say, okay, you calling as regular callers and say
communications. I'm director of communications.
Okay, so meaning your official. Go ahead. Let's hear you. Go ahead. It's official.
I'm telling you, Ambassador Brown has already made it clear to you, and you just announced it to the public that tomorrow he's going to speak to the allegations made against him.
Speak for the political leader. Go ahead. Officially speak.
The political leader is a man of peace, and the world knows that. So we are like, our attention has been drawn to that allegation against his person.
So what can you say about the allegation now? Say something about the allegation.
The allegation is false. It's misleading. In fact,
one of the things
that we should be making argument of, because you know the person called Alexander Berry Cummings has never been associated with violence.
No, ANC supported the June 7 protest. Didn't ANC do so?
No.
Didn't ANC do so? Were you people not part of the June 7 protest? All the opposition political parties, when you people are in the CPP?
Sekou, you discussing chaos. You discussing violence.
I'm just asking.
No,
Desmond, listen now, Desmond, let's do the thing step by step. Fendela too on the land, Fendela will ask you, the people listening to the radio, and you one of the senior persons from ANC, like you said, you are the director of communication. So meaning you are the official person to speak. Like the last time we were talking about people speaking for ANC, we don't see most of you people because some of the allegations will come and just slander us or anything. What I'm saying to you, if we were to look at records of the ANC, please, I beg you, just relax. I will give you time. Didn't the ANC support the June 7 protest?
So, under our constitution, protest is guaranteed under the law.
Sure.
We should not take protests as something that will.
Didn't the ANC support the June 7 protest?
We are speaking to the direct words against our political leader by
but Sekou, let's speak to this issue. We'll discuss that. It's a known fact that Cummings identified with the protesters.
Okay.
So
what I'm asking, listen at Desmond Fernandez, the reason why I'm asking you, because we are trying to see if it is true, looking at the possibility, because we ourselves are saying we cannot say it is true, nor deny the allegation, but we're looking at records. So I just ask you about your political leader issue. So let's stick it to this issue, like we said. And one of the things that the Secretary General of the CDC said, your political leader had a program and he was being tribalistic in a sense that they said Pacific Trap supported his candidature for the presidency. Was it true?
Sekou. We know that the CDC has started to jitter already.
Okay.
They are feeling the real change message by Mr. Alexander Bennett Cummings. We need this country to change. People are now breaking tribal conversation, what have you, to our engagement with the people, to Mr. Cummings' engagement with the people. Where these not the same people that were questioning the background of Mr. Cummings. What is his base? Were these not the same people that were asking these questions yesterday? So if the group of people decide to come up, the group of people decide to come up and say that this is too much for our son. He is our son. We own him. So we're going to rally around him to support him. So what's the new argument about that? About tribal sentiment and all of those things. So the group of people.
So meaning only the group of people, the political.
Are telling the Liberian people now, are telling the opposition.
Are you people accepting other tribes?
But Sekou.
In our body, take another pause.
Okay.
The different tribes in our country.
Okay, so just
for the group of people to support their own son is not a crime.
The lands are bustling. So let me just ask you this question.
After all, yesterday people were questioning the base of Mr. Alexander Bennett Cummings.
Okay, so let me just ask you this question: Is Mr. Cummings taking this allegation seriously, or is he seeing it as just one of the political, allegations, or is he thinking about maybe having a lawsuit towards this allegation against his party and his person?
No, Mr. Cummings is not going to waste his precious time on that. We're just going to make the clarity, and in fact, the people of Liberia, know that Mr. Cummings is a man of peace. Mr. Cummings has worked tirelessly over the years.
Okay.
To get the reputation that he has today.
Thank you, Chief.
So for Mayor Koji to come and make a blanket allegation against the person of Mr. Alexander Bennett Cummings, then it speaks to something else.
What would the ANC do about this? To conclude, what would the ANC do about this? What would the ANC do?
But Sekou, as I said, we on the call on the show to provide clarity. We're not going to wait. We are so much engaged with the people of Liberia.
Okay.
We are so much engaged on breaking.
Thank you, Chief. No time. Let me take this other caller. The calls are bustling. Hello.
Yeah, hello, brother.
Go ahead, please. 30 seconds. The news is up next.
Okay, my name is Daniel Harry. I'm calling for Duazon.
Duazon, go ahead. 30 seconds.
Yeah,
please.
I don't know why Jefferson Coach is crying like a wolf. All the protests at the time during Mother Ellen Johnson Senator, can they remember it? On their regime, who are ever taking to casting in the street? Who have done that?
Okay, let me take another question. 30 seconds. Oh, too bad. I go to this other line. Is it the way to do it? Let me take this person. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. You live. No time.
Okay, thank you. Let me say good evening to you, Brother Sekou and Dr. Patrick. My name is Edward TG2 and I call from Logantown. Let me say this. Mr. Koji, the us anymore. We know that is here, that is a member of the ANC. We will remain go to the 2020 election. So that.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Go ahead, 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, this is Charles Cooper. I call from Kingsbury.
30 seconds.
You know, my brother, there's this saying that in a Liberian way that rule was not like for someone to steal from them. When it comes to protestation in Liberia, CDC is as a party is that party that has given birth to more protest in Liberia than any other party. So whenever CDC hear about protest, I don't know why they are crying wolf or what is the fear about.
Okay, thank you. Another person, 30 seconds. We need to go. Take more calls. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I'm Emmanuel Sam. Calling from Lofa.
Calling from Lofa County.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Let's hear you. You listening to the radio, right?
Roger Captain.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
All that question asking our people, I understand all. But if they CDC people, they are violent people. But if they are peaceful people come
outside with. They just see coaches that control their people to bring violence. Huh. That one will not take it again. Thank you.
Where you not taking? Okay, let's take this person. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Mm-hmm.
This is Prince S. Number calling to be precise, please, Congo San.
Let's say you 30 seconds.
Okay. Protest should make CDC scare. This come around, CDC broadcasted around the capital city, broad painting in the capital city, in the street, put it in the air. We are coming there with people. So let us stand by for that. Thank you.
Also, that true, the protest will be. Yeah, you're coming. Hello.
Yeah. How you doing?
Go ahead.
I'm John Brown, speaking from Cornwall.
Cardwell, go ahead.
Okay, Jefferson coaching must bring a sabu. They get prepared. Because it's the most of the disgruntled and wicked guy in the country. Then when people talk about protest, you can't jump himself from somewhere to look it down. Mao last me sabu, you know. Then you can't without nonsense.
No, we can't allow you to do that, please. You can't insult, yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead, let's hear you.
Yeah, I'm Simeon G. Davis, I'm calling from 19th Street.
Go ahead.
That part of clarity. The intent of the program is not about protesting. We are not protesting, it's rally. So no need to say Tamakoti.
Oh, listen, hello. Is it true that you people had a meeting? You are part of the meeting today?
So whatever they will have a meeting.
Hello, sir, please.
Hello?
Did you people have a meeting today about upcoming march or protest, something like that?
No. We don't have no meeting about protesting.
Oh, but you say again, the thing is not about protest, it's about rally. There again, you say again, no.
we have a rally meeting. It's not a protest meeting. We have rally meeting.
Okay, thank you. We can take calls again. Let me go to Fendela. Fendela, let's wrap up. You listen to the calls.
Yeah, you take a lot of calls, and so sometimes like we have like 2 minutes, and they will be rushing, and the news is coming.
Yeah.
So we have to manage our time.
Yeah.
So I listened to the callers, and like I said, I think we need a new direction. It's the rights of the people to protest, guaranteed under the law. The greatest responsibility now rests on the shoulders of the government. You are no longer an opposition political party. You are the government. So it is your responsibility now that you have known that protest is on the way, is to begin to engage. All our leaders did it in the past, they succeeded and they left. Those who refused to engage, they left some kind of way. They either use the back door or they jump through the window. And it's not a sign of weakness on the part of a leader. When the citizens are dissatisfied and they are complaining, government takes responsibility. You don't argue. Any government that compares the failures of previous regimes to justify what they are doing, it means they are not ready to lead. I think this government has inherited significant number of problems. They have to read between the lines. Like I said, this could be a trap. You know, it could be a trap for the ANC. It could be a trap for the CDC. The way the CDC will engage it, they will score good political mark. If they engage it the wrong way, it will spread, and this could be used against them.
Okay.
You know,
thank you, Fendela. We need to go.
At the same time, we want to caution the ANC not to take this thing lightly, because an associate member or someone who just declared to join your political institution is now at the center of controversy. It's good to also investigate and take appropriate action so that this thing cannot be tied to ANC and degenerate your political institution. Thank you.
Okay.
And God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much.
We can have a long time to respond to many questions.
Allegation is a very grave allegation, and we hope to hear what ANC will say tomorrow. And we'll be back here tomorrow on the program. Issues of the day. Up next is the news. My name is